only 3% of the market is ready to buy right now. The other 97% will be ready at some point in the future.
Most people are wasting time on social media. Matt Lakajev isn't one of them. He's ranked #1 in Australia for lead generation and has helped hundreds of clients add anywhere between 30k and 100k per month, and knows exactly how to turn posts into profit. This episode has no fluff, no theory, just real simple strategies that turns conversations into cash. What do you think you're doing differently on LinkedIn than everybody else?
The reason why a lot of small business owners can't sell, it's just because they don't have enough leads. And when you don't have enough leads, you act desperate. You drop your price. You do things that you usually wouldn't do. You treat your staff badly, because you just might be in a bad mood. But if you solve the leads problem, everything else gets solved.
Where I do want to start though is I want to, from your perspective, what do you think you're doing differently on LinkedIn than everybody else?
The biggest thing that people don't know how to do is they don't know how to have another conversation with another human being and build trust with them and not sell to them, because only 3% of the market is ready to buy right now. The other 97% will be ready at some point in the future. But when you pitch in the first message, you're only actually hitting into a small percentage of the 3%. And the other 99.5% that you hit, you're immediately breaking the trust and you can't go back to them. The only thing I do different is I reach out to everyone, but I don't pitch. I only add value and then I invite. And so I have 333 times the amount of leads than everyone else.
How?
Because everyone else pitches in the first message. So if you look at it, 3% of the market's ready to buy right now. Only about 10% of that will be interested. So that's 0.3%. That's the whole total addressable market they're reaching out to right now that will get back to them. I'm reaching out to 100%. So if you times that, 100 divided by 0.3, it's like 333. So just from the number of conversations I had 333 times the amount of leads. And we just sell on a longer time horizon.
Dude, this is going to be so sick.
Yeah.
So let's get a bit of context as to what your offer is, how much money have you made with it, and why this way is going to be a better opportunity for people than the traditional way that they're selling on LinkedIn, which is obviously wrong.
Yeah, gotcha. Wait, are we into it now? Or just...
Yeah, we've always been recording.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, into it now. I thought you were setting me up into the thing. I was like, this is hilarious. Okay, so...
We just hit the ground running.
Yeah, sweet. This is sick. We've got 3 offers. So we've got a free one. It's how to start selling on LinkedIn immediately. It's like a free 5-day email course. I actually took a piece of our paid program and I was going to charge $500 for it, but I just was like, screw it, let's just do it for free.
Just a great
yeah, and just we've even had people just messaging me because I have a market like a massive market in lower socioeconomic countries who can never afford our thing, and I was like, man, let's screw it. I'm just going to give it away for free because I want to help as many people as I can. Because our second offer is $3K USD, right? And so for some people, that's just crazy money. And so I want to be able to help everyone. So we gave that away for free, and that kind of acts as a conversion mechanism that we have. And since we launched that on October 15, we've had about 5,700 opt-ins since then. And that was organic from LinkedIn, which is pretty good. And they go through it, and I get people messaging me all the time saying, this is amazing. And in the offer itself, in the videos, I say to people, hey, I want you to win first to make money. And when you do, pinky promise me that you're going to join our paid program. And I actually have a big pinky promise on the thing. And I ask people to comment on the video, pinky promise. And there's 180 people that have commented pinky promise. And so it's a commitment and consistency thing.
It's aligning yourself to the actions, all right? And having it's self-acceptance, being okay, I'm going to do this when I'm at that point.
It's actually just a psychological, it's just using reciprocity. So Robert Cialdini's, he wrote a book with 6 rules of persuasion, but he actually has 7 because he talks about the next rule he made up in Persuasion, which is the next book. But reciprocity is saying, hey, I did this thing for you, making it known to them. When you get this thing, you do this thing for me. It triggers something in people's brain where it sticks into their long-term memory where they can't remove it, and they always have guilt until it's like if you go out to dinner and you forget your wallet and it's an expensive dinner and your friend pays for it, you just feel so guilty until you do something for them. And so it's wired into our DNA If you do something for people, they're going to feel reciprocity. But even if they don't buy from me, they'll still feel this pull to tell other people because they have to. Because if they don't, either they're a psychopath or, which is like nearly no one, or like they have to do something. And so they might show up on my content and comment. They might tell people. They might just spread good word, or that, like we had, there was someone who went through our free course and he got so much value. But he's working with one of my competitors who's a friend, right? A good mate. But like, so he didn't buy our thing, but he went through the free course, made so much money from it that someone came to him and said, who do I use to sell on LinkedIn? And he's like, you have to use this Mac guy. And this guy came to us and he paid me 16,000 USD and I never spoke to him like in person because just from the strong referral. So it's like, it creates this like energy bubble of value and trust around you. And that's why I like a lot of free stuff and giving it away.
Just want to take one quick break to ask you one question. Have you been enjoying these episodes? Because if you have, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel so that more people can see these episodes and be influenced to build an online business this year. Thank you.
What I think is really powerful there as well is the fact that when you enable someone like that, so you teach them the mechanism, they take responsibility and ownership for their action.
Yeah.
And therefore they're more inclined to recommend you.
Yes.
I find that's a big difference between agency and coaching is that an agency, you do it for them. So it's kind of like a dirty secret. Does that make sense? They're like, oh, I don't want to admit that this person did it for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like with coaching, it's like, oh, I'm so grateful for Dan Martell, Taki, James Kemp, Matt, because you actually helped them. You enabled them.
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
It's, like, I think the agency and coaching are just slightly different business models, like
different
themselves.
modalities.
And, there's times when people are in positions in their life where an agency like makes absolute sense to use because like their time is valuable. So they shouldn't be spending their time on doing it. But there's the other flip side of things of like, when you get coached, it's just speed of getting better at a skill.
Yeah.
Like that's all a coach does. So, I before this podcast and I recorded with Chris Doe on Monday, like 2 days ago as well, I got speaker coaching. Like I reached out to one of my friends, Arabella, who's coached like all these massive companies and their CEOs. And I got her to coach me on speaking before. And like what I learned from her, like was, in 4 sessions was way more than 2 years of YouTube videos because it skills you up a lot faster. So coaching, I think, gets you the skill, which enables you to, but agency can get you the results really faster.
Yeah.
So if it's a good agency.
If it's a good agency.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of, you got to trade off of like what you're doing. And
yeah.
But if you're an entrepreneur starting out, like you want to learn the skills.
So with this offer right now, you've hit 3.5 million in total or this year?
So our run rate now is 3.5 million. So I'll run through the numbers and break it down because people are always like, what did you actually do?
Well, that's the value for like, why the fuck should we care about this? And why should we focus on LinkedIn?
Exactly. So we've got a free offer to sell on LinkedIn. Our second offer is like our main offer. It's called our 6-figure creators program. It's specifically targeted to small business owners or creators who want to drive like multiple 6 figures to their business through LinkedIn and to do it themselves. So it's very much around teaching someone to fish instead of giving them the fish.
Yeah.
So it's like we show you how to do it. And because of that, we get some like insane results because people pay, it's $3,000 USD now. And we'll probably go up by the time this is out, but like it's $3,000 and like people just get in because when they get skilled up, they get skilled up. And we've got at the moment, we've got 660 people in our program in total in the school community. And then we've got one other offer as well, which is called 7-figure creators. So it's kind of like invite only. I only work with 12 people now on purpose. And there's no course content or anything. There's literally just 2 calls a week and we just get on and we just implement. That's it. So like I coach like, a few different people, like one guy who's, he's been the CRO for like 100, like so many different like sales companies and he's got about 120,000 followers. So I coach him. Like another guy who's the number 1 finance person in the whole of the US on LinkedIn, but it's very much sales specific, but it's like an invite only thing. And that's like, that was the price of that. It's like $14,000 a year or something like that.
And that combines a 3.5 million.
So we've done like cash collected now, we've done 2 million. We do about $300,000 a month. So the past 2 months, we've done near close to $300,000 a month, past couple of months.
What do you think is the biggest lever for that? Like, what's the unique mechanism?
So why we've closed so much?
Yeah. Most creators are broke, right? Most guys on LinkedIn don't actually make the numbers, apart from like a Justin Welsh, Matt Gray, So
we could go deep here, but
yeah,
if I talk about the competitive advantage that I have is a few things. One, I have a co-founder. So like, I do not believe in solopreneurship. Like the people, like you've always had Justin Welsh on here, like irregardless of like whatever he does, he's just a unit.
Yeah.
He's like, no one is as good as him. So like, I think, he's had 25 years in the trenches.
And he's built two $2
billion companies.
Two of them.
Yeah, two of them, right?
And he's seen like how to have multiple employees.
Yeah, he's another level. Like, and I think it's really hard because to get to his level, it's going to take you 25 years. Like to get to his level. So I think there's this kind of like, I think the word solopreneur is a great marketing wrapping around it. But like, I like, why would I, like, if I get paid like, $2,000 an hour to get on a call, why would I clean my own house? As like kind of bad or bougie as that sound? Or like, why would I, do all these things? It's like, you want to outsource everything as much as you possibly can. So like, I just think that, the solopreneurship thing is like not something, but I think what's helped us grow as co-founder is the total opposite personality type as me, but he's like an absolute genius. That's the first thing. And the second thing would probably be, it's our deep understanding of sales and psychology and how we're thinking from a longer time horizon than shorter. Because, we teach small business owners how to generate leads for their business through LinkedIn, through organic content and DMs. And the reason why a lot of small business owners can't sell, it's just because they don't have enough leads. And when you don't have enough leads, you act desperate. You drop your price. You do things that you usually wouldn't do. You treat your staff badly, like because you just might be in a bad mood. But if you solve the leads problem, everything else gets solved in your actual business. So I've just had that fundamental belief since I started. So I just believe that when you're having conversations in the DMs with people or you have sales conversations with them, you always want to do what's right for the other person and the best fit for them.
Yeah.
And the best thing isn't, hey, saw your profile. So you might be looking for lead gen. I can get you 10 calls in the next 30 days or we'll give you a refund of $5,000 and send your kids to Disneyland, right? You can make these crazy promises, but like it's very short term thinking. So I'm just like, a lot of people that jump in our program, we've been chatting. I've got a one-to-one coaching call with a girl next week. And like people can pay extra money if they want to call me. It's like an extra $1,000. And she's been following me for a year. And so the competitive advantage we have is that every conversation I've had with someone, like I'm not hard pitching them. I'm only inviting them to work with me. And so we'll have a conversation for that long. And when that happens, if everyone else out there goes and pitches, they just cut down the market completely. Like if we go into this, we talked about this before, which was only 3% of the market is ready to buy right now in total. And the other 97% will probably be ready at some stage. They might be completely unaware that your solution exists, or they might be close to that 3%. What all the lead gen bros do is they just go for volume and they usually don't understand psychology. So they just go, let's just smash this list. And if we do enough volume and we outreach enough people with these crazy promises and we send these Loom videos of these audits and all this kind of shit, right? Like they do get a few people coming in, but if you look at the market, there's only 3% that's ready to buy. Of that 3%, only about 10% will actually even respond to cold outreach, period. So what you're looking at is 0.3% out of 100%. And everyone that they don't end up selling to or chat to, they also completely break their trust.
They burn the lead.
They burn the lead. And when a lead's burned, it's like a year. You can't come back. Like it's like when you smash something, it's like when you do something bad, like someone can't trust you for a long period of time. And so really the magic trick of what I do differently is like when I chat to someone, I'll say like, hey Darren, what's going on? I saw you connected to my client. So-and-so, we just had a really great Zoom call last night. So you're also, so in Bali, I'm coming over here too. Thought I'd connect and say hi. Like that's the first message. And then the person's like, oh, I feel special. Like, this is actually really nice. And I say, yeah, Sean's an absolute legend. I've been working with him for a year. He's doing really well in his business. Hey, I saw you posting on LinkedIn. Like, did you get started because you want to build a bigger brand, or are you trying to generate more leads for your business? And then someone's like, oh, I started posting because I saw this person. And then I say, oh, awesome. Like, that sounds like really cool. Yeah, I remember when I first started posting, it's like super confusing. And I'll be like, oh, look, by the way, I gave Sean some of these templates that helped him get leads. Would you like me to send them to you? So I'm asking for permission. And they'll be like, yeah, I actually love that. And then I'll say, yeah, cool. Use number 3 and 7. Like, let me know if you do it. Oh, by the way.
Can you explain the asking for permission thing? Because I can give you an example too. Most people don't. That's a really important part that you've learned from sales that most people don't understand.
It's, if we really break it down, the mistake that most people make is when they start a conversation, they're thinking, what can I say next that will get the person on the meeting? That's not the goal. The goal of the DM is 2 things. One, is to make them feel special, as weird as that is. If you make someone feel special, it cements it into their long-term memory. They remember you forever, and you're not considered a salesperson. That's number 1. The second thing is you just get them to reply. And so that's all you want to do. And so you're micro-persuading people through what you're saying. Every single line is intentional. So like, if you look at any of really good copywriters, so you've had Lara Costa and Yasmin Alec on this podcast, right? You read every line of their post. It's like a hook. It's amazing.
Even their scripts. Like, I know Lara's YouTube scripts. Like, she told me personally on the podcast.
So good.
Every line on her YouTube videos, she wants to be scripted in terms of psychology.
Yep. I've heard I heard her on somewhere where she said, I spent 12 hours writing this, and I was like, yeah, I can see how you would have done
I've been with her when she spent 12 hours doing it. Like, I've actually physically worked with her.
It's crazy.
And she'll just stare at the same fucking screen and just make slight adjustments. And same with Brett Malinowski. Yeah. Exact same.
So people don't treat their DMs like that. That's the problem. So like the DMs are like, you need to treat them the same. And so you don't want to just say pointless stuff. So every time I ever say anything to someone, it's like on purpose. And so the permission-based thing is to make them feel like I'm doing them a favor, even though I'm just saying it because I want to create that feeling of goodwill inside of it.
It's just a framing.
Yeah.
Framing and positioning. That you can say the same thing, but just how it's said. Kind of like with your wife.
Yeah.
Same with my wife.
Yeah.
I can't tell my wife to do something, but I can educate her as to why it would be beneficial that we did this thing.
Yeah.
And this was genuinely, we've spent 5 years together. I've had to do this for many different things.
Yeah.
Whereas like someone like you who's just high logic, I'd be like, bro, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And then we just go get it done. And it's kind of like DMs like that, but understanding those points. And I remember you mentioned on a video saying that understanding the pacing of the responder.
Oh,
I've never heard someone talk about that, bro.
There's so much like to do with it. Like, so everyone has watched Chris Voss's videos where he's the famous hostage negotiator. And he talks about mirroring and matching their tone. And so it's the same in the DM exchange. If your friend writes you like an essay-long message venting to you, if you respond back with like, cool, sick, they'll be like, you asshole. And so it's the same with the DMs. Or if they shoot you through bing, 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 like 3 short messages, like, like my best mate, Andy, will send me, yo, dickhead, what are you doing? Come over. Like that's what he says to me. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And I'll just like run through, but if he sends me that and then I just come back with an essay, he'll be like, what's this guy like doing? And so in the DMs, you want to match like what they're giving you. So if they respond fast, you respond fast. If they take a day, you take a day. And so you want to match their feeling because you kind of want to sell to them, they want to be sold to, but like you're micro persuading them through. And so like I'll reach out, I'll give the person the free thing. I'll mention something to make them feel special. And then I'll say something like, oh, yeah, look, I'm just let you know, dude, I've got to bounce. I got to actually take my dog for a walk. He's been pissed off at me all day as well. But like, can I shoot you back and a message next week? I just want to see how those templates went. See you, bye. And so I'm just like, what I want to distill in their mind is that we use heuristics as mental shortcuts. So like in our brain, there's folders. And so when we see something, we like immediately folder it against something familiar. And so I'm like shocking this person with so much like trust and stuff that they don't put me in the sales bucket. I'm actually inside the bucket of a friend. And so there's an immediate trust And if I make them feel special, and if they go tell their partner, oh, I had this like amazing thing, like when I go back home, I'll be like, I met this guy in Bali, like so good. Like we record this podcast, it's going to stick in my memory. And that's how you make a good DM. You want them to remember it. And most people don't think as deep with the DMs because it's kind of like content is everything, right? Content is like the thing and like the DMs are an afterthought. But it's like you can just DM people and like make money with 0 followers. Like my business partner, Steve, we ran this as an experiment. He has no profile photo. He's never posted. He's never commented. It looks like he has a dodgy bot thing. He closed 100K in 3 months. And then he wrote a book on Sell by Chat. He wrote the book. It's like a 10,000 page mini book, and like he wrote how to do it. And he's like
10,000, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 10,000. So not 10,000 page, 10,000 word, not page.
Sorry,
I was like, Jesus. Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
10,000 word mini book. But like it's I think that there's an overemphasis or an overweight. Like I think content is like, I love content. It's so good. Like it's amazing. But I think there's an overemphasis on the content.
Well, people are princesses. So they think that the content is just going to do everything for them.
It's
right. And then it's like, a few of my friends are like, oh, like I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to, it's like dating. The best way to put it, it's like dating.
Yeah.
Is that like, there's a time to kind of not be super pushy and like try to get him to sign the marriage cert. But at the same time, someone has to instigate the dance. Yeah. So like DMs are like more like a dance versus
that's a
like
analogy.
A fucking drive just straight through into the success of it. But I think the problem is a lot of these creators, not even restricted to LinkedIn, just in general, Instagram and even YouTube, because YouTube has a weird relationship with the audience, is that there needs to be a conversion mechanism to get the next step. And I describe it as, if you imagine your leg, your knee is the connective tissue between the upper leg and the lower leg. Without that, there is no leg, okay?
Yeah.
But most guys are too proud, arrogant, ego princesses to be able to add in the next step.
I would actually argue that it's not that.
Really?
No. It's fear.
But I mean, if you're, let's say,
like,
for instance...
The classic example is a LinkedIn copywriter who writes a post says, for my first 2 years when I wrote content, I made no money. And now I made $3,000 in 3 hours. And all I think in my mind was like, why'd you waste 2 years? Like, what? Like, it's actually fear. It's people. We're very similar. Like, we've been chatting before. Like, you will just outreach to someone and have no shame, and so I wouldn't care.
Well, I actually want to talk to you about the beginning of you, because your business, you said you didn't make money. You lost like 180K in the first 2 years. Was it 18 months?
Yeah, that was like purely based off me not understanding business models.
Yeah, because the reason I'm saying this is because like for us, it was like the opposite. So I was working in Revolut, you're working in Zoom. I know we're jumping around, but basically when I was just so fucking disgruntled with the startup world, and I was just exact same as Zoom, just like so much pressure, it was awful. When I went like balls deep, and we had a done for you offer, so I just hammered Lendless and Sales Nav, and just
reached out.
I literally, I got a 4K client. I would honestly say within like 3 weeks, and then I actually got to the fucking infamous 10K amount in around 6 weeks.
Yeah,
but then at 10K, this is the irony. Someone who was senior in product in Revolut, I was making more money. 10K, bro. 10K USD. I was living in Singapore.
Wow.
So I was like, fuck this. Handed in my 60-day notice. And then I just like, but then so what I did was just show people that I didn't disappear, right? What I did was I worked in Revolut from Singapore till midnight every night.
Yeah.
And then I'd wake up at 6 with the sunrise. It's weird. I wake up on the sunrise every day. And I would hammer LinkedIn and my email from 6 till 10 and then go to the gym at 10. And at 10, I would literally be peeling myself off my laptop, booking calls, taking these most embarrassing calls ever. But I did it because I couldn't depend on the traffic of my podcast. The traffic from the podcast was good to get the online business bros, but it wasn't good to get the high ticket clients. Yeah. And like to this day, like I still, like we don't do that anymore. But I'm saying like, if you're in a position, you can pull the sales lever, while you pull the content and you improve your funnels and the systems in the back end.
Before we go any further, I have one question for you. Do you want to generate more leads for your business? Well, I've put together an entire system how anyone can use a podcast to generate more leads for their business. And the best part is you don't even need a podcast to get started. I've created an entire guide and framework for you to be able to get more guests, more clients, more customers, more people in your pipeline and generate more revenue. This exact system is available right in the description down below. And you'll be able to leverage a podcast to generate more leads for your business and be able to increase your exposure, increase your authority, and increase your influence in your industry. So check that out right down below.
Yeah, I think I've got two stories that I think will really, because I really agree with you. And I've got the story myself where I did the same thing, but I want to show a comparison because we chatted before this about like brand and personal brand. And we were chatting about someone who like maybe isn't making as much money as they should be for their personal brand based on their follower count. And while I think brand matters a lot, and an example to use is I worked at Zoom Video Communications. So the Zoom, during COVID. So I worked there before COVID, during, and after. So before COVID, Zoom had no brand. And I'd reach out to people and I'd call a legal firm in Sydney and be like, hey, like, you guys want Zoom meetings? And they're like, nah, we just meet in person. Like, we don't need this thing. Like, this was all the time. Like, and I was like, okay, because we don't have a brand either. Like, people use Skype. That was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and so like, and they're like, we don't need to do Skype meetings. And then COVID happened. And then like my dad's friends from high school he hasn't chatted to in 10 years would call me up, Matt, we need Zoom license meetings for our thing, whatever. And everyone was freaking out. And then after that, I could just email anyone. Like I booked 750 meetings in a year at Zoom. And it seems really fancy, right? All I did was I just pulled out 80,000 emails out of the database. And I sent an email and said, hey, it's Matt from the Zoom Sydney office. I wanted to see if I can get on a call and set up your Zoom. That's it. That's all I sent. And I booked like 750 meetings and like made boatloads of money from it. So
like 750K, right?
So I booked 750 meetings in a year, but I closed like multiple millions of dollars like of deals. Like I closed one of the biggest Zoom phone deals. It was in small medium businesses history. Like it was like most random deal ever. But like, it wasn't skill. It was just brand. Like that's what actually did it for us. But
interesting.
When I left Zoom though, I left and I went to another software company because they paid me a lot more money. But then a guy that I used to do deals with at Zoom, he owned like another consulting company where he did telephone bill auditing and I used to team up with him on deals. So he'd be a partner and he'd get a cut of the deal and we became good friends. And he's like, dude, like come work with my company and like be a co-founder, you do the sales and I do like the other thing. And I was like, all right. But then I arrived at a company which had zero brand. I did not understand marketing. We were called TeleSense, which sounds like telemarketing dodgy as fuck. Like, and our website looked like it was built on Windows 95. It was so bad. And we both didn't have design skills. And the same tactics didn't work. And I was like, oh shit. And so I was like, what do I do? And so I did something similar to what you did was I only knew how to cold call. So I just locked myself. We subleased a legal firm. We had because we thought we needed to be an office. So we had a legal firm and they used to have pod rooms. And I'd lock myself in the room for 2 hours every day, an hour in the morning, an hour at night. I couldn't leave to pee. And I just had to keep hitting dial. Just dial, like just constantly. And but I ended up booking like I think it was 150 meetings in about 5 months. And we ended up closing like $1 million of revenue that year. And since then, Michael's closed way more. But like, it was harder to do, but it was possible. But the difference between the two was with TeleSense, I had to create the brand and the trust myself from initial contact. So my script for a cold call would be like, I'd be like, hey, Bill, it's Matthew Lakajev calling from TeleSense. I know you weren't expecting my call. I was just chatting to another client, a partner business of yours, MyWatch, Anthony there, and he mentioned your name. I just want to check if you got a couple of minutes to hear the reason for the call. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I know Anthony. Yeah, cool. Like, sweet. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, we're running this free bill audit for Aboriginal rural healthcare centers, just like yourself. I'm just wanting to schedule a time where we can come in and actually do it for you. I know you got a 10,000 page Telstra bill on your desk. So did Anthony. We helped him out, a few other people, and I'd name drop 2 others. And I'd be like, cool, like, are you free tomorrow at 9 a.m. or the next day? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, cool, we'll do this thing. And then blah, blah, blah. And we'd lock it in and we'd have the meeting. But like, just from that one script, like I could create the illusion of brand through psychology, through a positive association with someone he knew, a thing that we were doing. you mentioned a lot about positioning. I said, we have a special audit for Aboriginal rural healthcare centers. I just named it that, right? We didn't do anything. Like it didn't matter, but it's the coming back to the point is like, you don't need a brand. Like it's easier with a brand. 100%.
It's easier. Yeah.
It's easier. But like the excuse that people have, what I truly believe is that they're just really scared of being rejected. Like they just have a deep, deep insecurity. And if someone gets into business and they're new into business, like me and you, we're a high D on the disc profile and the personality types. We're both really high D. We're quite rare. It's not that common to have that. And so what we do just automatically is different to other people. But like other people, like they will sit there terrified to actually reach out to someone, even to send a warm DM to someone to like their stuff. And so they hide behind the content and they do content for a year or two, like as an excuse when they could just pick up the phone and just call someone. And so
it's ridiculous. Dude.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
The content itself, like the definition of like the content marketing that I said is it's to enable you to have more conversations.
Exactly.
That's like you do a podcast and people would listen to it and it's a really great podcast. It enables you to have more conversations. Like, and that's great.
The biggest thing for me is that because like some of my clients actually say it. They're like, "Oh, do you still need to be doing all the podcasts you're doing?" And I'm like, "Yes, but not for what you think."
Yeah,
I do it because basically when I message someone or I'm speaking to someone, they'll just search my name on YouTube. They'll see it and they're like, "Oh yeah, like this is sick, whatever." And then I do it because I actually just enjoy it as well, right? But it's almost like we don't know how the levers pull in the right way.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing there, you know, you mentioned like the copywriter who didn't make money for 2 years. I said this to James Kemp. He was sitting in that exact same chair. And I was like, I don't understand why someone doesn't do something like that. Doesn't like pick up the phone and drop a message, right? Because if I'm making $0 a month and we're in month fucking 14, right? What else do I have? Like, what's the alternative? Because it's the antithesis of the action. So if the action is to message, or if the action is to post, or if the action is to get better, but forget the DMs for a second. Let's just say in general, it's like to build a better funnel or even to learn ads, man. Faceless ads, just fucking figure it out. If there's that, which is to get the goal, and the antithesis of the goal is you being back with your parents and being like fat and lazy in the basement, why are you not doing something that brings you forward? I don't get it. And he said he has a lot of clients paying a lot of money, just won't do the action. And I'm like, I personally, I don't understand that.
This is mindset. It's just 100% mindset. Like if I take myself back to my, like because like when I was like, so like I dropped out of school when I was 16.
Fuck off.
Super lost kid, was with a really bad crowd. 2 of my best friends at school went to jail. Like, even though I look like I'm PG-13, right? Like you wouldn't think that.
you're a WhatsApp headshot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, so I dropped out of school and I like lost myself for a long time. And it's because I just didn't find my crowd. And I used to go party like all that for ages, for so many years. No one would think that now. But like I was so lost. But if I reflect back to the mindset I had back then, like I wouldn't do the actions like at all. And it took me till like, I finally in 2012, at the end, I started CrossFit. And I started hanging out with like successful people. So like one of my good mates, Greg, he was like a CEO at 28, like weapon, right? This other guy, JJ, we became friends with. He was the CEO of the Huffington Post in Australia. Then he became CEO. He was like big executive at eBay. And then we started hanging out with these people and like we were kind of the same. And I was like, I had this other distinct sense of reality. And I was like, a shift where I was like, oh man, like I just used to think that all these corporate people, whatever, just like crazy smart or whatever, like we're just all humans. But then I started going through that journey and then, you know, I started making coffee. I started competing in like coffee art tournaments and stuff and travel around Australia doing it. I then opened a business with my brother, a coffee shop, and we owned that for 2 years. Like we used to have like, you know, heaps of people coming in there. We kind of built a brand. I kind of came out of my shell a bit there as well. But then but I was still playing video games and doing all that shit, even though I was like playing CrossFit and stuff like that. So I still didn't have direction. And then we sold the cafe. And then I was like, what do I do? And then my accountant was like, you're pretty good at accounting. You should apply, you know, with my friend's accounting firm. Like not even, and I was like, I'm 27. I'm not in the cafe game. I was going to open another big cafe, but there's no money in it. So like my subconscious was telling me I can't do it. And I was like, I can't, like there's no money. And so I went and interviewed, got the job, and I was like, I'm a business person. I work in corporate because for all those years, I always thought like office people were like super smart and all this kind of stuff. And I got in there and I was like after a year Like I was doing full-time accounting and I was doing full-time university because I was just pushing myself because I had this like prove thing because I dropped out of school and I ended up like literally having a breakdown. And like I had to move home with my parents for 6 months. So I was just fucked. Like I was just like it was just really bad anxiety. It was just so bad.
From what?
It was, when I really reflect back, it was because I was doing things that were totally against what I believed. So it was like I was doing accounting and I was pushing through and I was doing full-time uni and I'd be like, oh, it's okay. I can like out CrossFit or daily sunlight in the morning, the thing. And like I started reading this book by this guy called Aubrey Marcus and he's like, Own the Day, Own Your Life. I think that's the book. And he's like this super hippie dude, but like he wasn't back then. But started reading that stuff. But like it was all just a band-aid from the thing that like I knew I should be doing, which was like the creativity and all that kind of stuff. And so it took a breakdown of me moving home with my parents to realize like I have to change. This is fucked. And so
how did you feel when you were back home? Like what did you do for that 6-month period?
I still worked in accounting and I used to have to like get the bus with my brother to work. He worked in the city as well. I couldn't even be myself. And for the 8 hours I was sitting there, like the type of anxiety I had is like, there's like 5 different types. There's one called impending sense of doom where you think you're going to die. And so you just like sharp pain right in my chest. Like my hand would go numb and I always think I'm having a heart attack or a stroke or something like that.
What?
But it was like, when I really reflect back, it was because I was doing something that like I was like so against. Like, but I thought I needed to because of society's norms. I thought I dropped out of school, so I needed to go to university. Like I needed to do the right thing, but my gut was telling me like it was like the wrong thing as well at the same time. And it's like a lot around like, you know, and so I think about my mindset pre then is like so different. And then I started searching. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever. Like I'm just going to find how do I make as much money as possible? Like, because I knew money was a ticket out because money buys time, which buys freedom. And then I found sales, and then I found, you know, I applied for heaps of jobs, and then I luckily got a job at Zoom, like, which is awesome. And then I like kind of found myself, and then just worked 12 hours a day like a dog when I was there, and just like found it. But like, I think back to that point and like pre even breaking down, I was like, there's no way I would do this stuff. So it's like it actually takes a certain something in someone's life to like, if you go to any human on the street and you're like, here's these 10 numbers, just cold call them. Their heart will be going at 150 beats per minute and stuff like that. And they just won't be able to do it. And it's just so much of it is around like, maybe someone hasn't come to that breaking point to be able to do it that hard, but it requires like you to shift as a human. Like you have to like completely change into like what society is. And you probably have a similar thing is like now if you go back, I heard you talking about it when you go back home. It's like you chat to everyone and you're like, I feel like I'm like,
I don't go back there anymore.
Yeah, it's like you like I can't relate.
It has that anxiety.
Yeah. So I think just a lot of people like a lot of personality types can't actually push for that, but like it just requires like you need to kind of change as a person.
But you always need to evolve, right?
Yeah.
Even now where you are right now, you know?
I think like
those evolutions are more creative though. They're more enjoyable. Now you still need to break the shackles of what you believe. Yeah. But like you're still evolving quite a lot.
But it's even like accepting that you can evolve. It's like a lot of people just like, they'll just say, I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to do it tomorrow. And they'll just like make this excuse. Like I just believe that most things come down to mindset and just like they haven't like the reason say I push hard is because I have this like deep deprivation in me where I was like, oh no, I'm going to like it's like deprivation that causes it as well. But I think so many people just live this life of like mediocrity, but it just hasn't gotten that bad yet. They just don't need to.
Have you read 10X is easier than 2X?
What? No, I haven't read it. What is it?
You love it, man.
Yeah.
It's Dan Sullivan's like latest book.
Yeah.
So basically the whole logic is like those quantum leaps are actually easier than trying to double your business.
Yeah.
But it's mainly a psychology and almost like a personal development book more so than anything else. It's more the person that needs to change. Definitely. And now you might think like, oh, like, okay, 10X means I'm selling a course versus an agency. It's not like that. The logic is like the person must want to make those quantum leaps. I didn't say the word need. They don't need to do it. No one needs to make 10 million a year. Yeah. But they want to do it out of curiosity, genuine interest, and just basically like almost like a love for what they're doing. Versus when you need something, then you're going to act from anxiety, like stress, pressure, and then you're going to like barely 2x your business at best. Okay? Yeah. So the other aspect of that is like the gap in the gain. Yeah. So great entrepreneurs who are looking to follow curiosity. I'm thinking something like Dan Martell.
Yeah.
He lives in the game.
Yeah.
The game is like, oh, like what else can I learn? Oh, there's a child over here who's 14. What can he teach me about being present? And he's always looking from a game perspective. The gap is, oh, I don't have enough, or my sales team are shit. My conversion's only X amount, Y amount. Therefore, they're still trying to grow their business, but they're not doing it in a way that's basically like opening up to the whole world. And the last aspect then of it is the infinite game versus finite game, right? If you're constantly thinking like, I need this to work, it's like a football game. It comes to an end after 90 minutes, and then it all comes crashing down. Whereas looking at it from an infinite perspective means, took the sales call, it was shit. I learned a few things. Let's get better. I did this conversation on LinkedIn. It didn't go as well as I wanted. Let's put another post up and let's start another one. Because then you never have to make it because you've already made it. And now it's just refined. Dude, like position you're at 33, myself at 28. Technically, we could stop working for quite some time, let's put it that way. So what we're doing is we want to do it. And we're fuck, bro, it's Saturday. And we're just chilling out on Saturday talking about this. And I was like, how are you doing this with your offer? What are you doing here? Because neither of us need it, but we just want to do it. And it's a huge shit shift. Buy that book before you leave.
I will.
But you
just
have
tell
to
me
get
after
it.
and I'll remember and I'll buy it.
You have to get it, bro, because it's just a huge psychological shift. And then with that, then becomes more of the exponents, the non-linear returns, the asymmetrical returns. The stuff that actually was Sahel Bloom taught me that years ago, which was like, look only in the asymmetry. So sales as asymmetrical returns, for instance.
I think I really like the way that he actually put that there as well, Denzel. It's pretty cool. The way I think about it is, when I always like to reflect back on my past self and like how I thought, because I think a lot of people have similar experiences and they go through different things as well. But like, do you remember going to uni or school over? Do you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
So like, I really remember that. So like, if you're dying of thirst or food, that's all you think about. So your brain can only take up a certain amount of RAM in it.
Such a good point.
And so like, so you've got just the basic health stuff. And then afterwards, you got security. And then you've got like financial security, like your personal welfare and stuff like that. This is why like a lot of, you see people online, they're just like, oh, someone who's in like poverty or whatever, they're just like, oh, just get themselves out of it at work. And it's like, it's literally impossible. Like it's actually, there's a reason why the only people that do it are the ones who have 150 IQ and like, that's it. Like it's literally impossible. Like they actually can't do it, but it's because you're stuck in this area where the only thing that can actually run through your brain is the stuff. And so with certain things, like I think when you're stuck, even when you're in a job, it's like you actually can't top out. Like you can't move through the stages because you get the third stage, which is like social, and then you got like personal growth and then self-actualization, right? You can't move through the stages and you can't actually get to the point, like Daniel Priestley calls it like the flow state of like where you actually like you're open and you're creative and like, I just like, we were chatting like literally 3 days ago and I was like, oh, I'll just fly over 6 hours to Bali and we'll just hang out. And I was like, I did
not realize it was 6 hours. I was like, yeah, bro.
And my brother called me this morning at 6:30 a.m., which is 9:30 his time. And he's like, yo, we're driving to come rent a house. Like we'll come to your house. Let's go get a coffee. And I was like, I'm in Bali. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, and I was like, oh, you just do it for a podcast. I just want to get away and like chill and write and stuff like that. I've just been writing since I've been here as well, which has been really fun.
Nice.
And then like, but people are kind of like trapped in like these levels and they're kind of stuck. So they might get past the security level where they're a bit financially secure or whatever, but then they get through like the social level and like, that's where you see like the social media. I was stuck in the social level probably in like 2012, like where I was financially secure, but I just was wanting to prove myself with other individuals. So like my clothing, like all this kind of stuff, like it really mattered. And of course it matters to an extent. It's how you present, but people are just like stuck in this like level and they're all they're thinking about is like impressing other people and they're stuck in this Instagram trap and stuff. But like, I actually don't think like it's so difficult to break out and actually get to a point of like personal growth and self-actualization unless you actually own your own business and you have actual freedom. Like, and if you look at so many people, like, why are like, I can't remember someone said this stat, but the amount of people that do Ironmans or triathlons and stuff is like 100x'd in like 10 years. I don't quote exact stat, but it's an insane amount. I remember listening to it. And like, why are there run clubs now? And everyone's like rejecting dating apps and all this kind of stuff because they're like, they're trying to find this higher level of self-actualization. So they're stuck in this social part, but like they can't actually like break through, because as humans, we're meant to be like creative beings. Like before I did my own business, all this kind of stuff, right? Like I couldn't imagine just like randomly sitting there and writing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like you can't even like fathom it, because you're thinking about like, I've got to do these things to impress other people, or I'm addicted to video games, or like, and so you're actually like, you're in a different level of like consciousness, I feel anyway.
Or you're trading your time for whatever that may be. So like at the weekend, you're ironing your shirts, you're doing your cleaning.
Oh, that's another level where it's like, when you can't control your income,
you can't control it.
Like you can't. That's why I love sales so much, and probably why you love it as well. It's like you can work harder and earn more money to apply leverage. Because I remember thinking like, when I grew up, like I'd say to like because my dad, he's a small business, he owns a panel beating shop, and he gave us the sickest life. Like it was so good, but like he came from like an immigrant mindset because his parents were refugees. And so he was very much around like, you do everything yourself and like very safe and stuff like that, which I'm not against. It's like amazing. But like, I always used to think growing up, I was like, why are we doing the gardening right now? Like, why can't we do other things? Like, I don't understand. Like, wouldn't we want to do other things to like build stuff? And so I never understood that. So I think there's this like the time trade money thing, but if you're in a job, it's impossible because your income is stuck.
Yeah.
And so like
your brain doesn't think about it, bro.
Yeah.
And you just can't expand it.
You can't even fathom it. And you like haven't even like, if you say to someone, hey, like if I think back to my past self, like where I used to be, if I said to myself, hey, spend 4 hours journaling on a Sunday, there's no way I would do that. Like I would have had to been at the pub.
Of course.
I would have had to see my friends. If I didn't go out, I'd have a sense of FOMO because I was in the social level. And then, past the point, when I kind of was in accounting, I really regressed down back into like straight up like fear of my life or ending and stuff like that. So I went right down to the bottom. So when I was like so anxious for 6 months that I couldn't think about anything, Like it was like, so you can't actually, but I think so many people are just like, they're just stuck and they can't even like break out because it's like they can't fully express themselves and their actual abilities. And so it's like when you meet business owners, like we've been to a lot of masterminds, you got a mastermind, like all that kind of stuff, right? Or we've got one. When you speak to business owners, it's like, it's just, you have a different conversation. It's like you're on another planet.
It's just because they're just trying to always prioritize time over everything else. And that's why even like living in Bali, we have housekeepers, we have cooks, cleaners, everything, just because I value my own time more. And I know it's not like, oh my God, like I want to be paid this much. It's just that I just don't want to do those things. So it's like you move away from that bullshit. And then also the thing about sales is the fact that I always say that, put yourself or myself in the fucking Gobi Desert with a small cell phone, we'll find our way out.
Yeah.
Like we'll find our way out. So I think that's why I kind of started that question, which was just like, how can someone not do it? Because the whole point of this is that you learn the skill. And then you also, what's interesting as well, if you look at podcasting, you learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
Right? Which is just like someone speaking, you listen. You'll find it interesting too. The big thing about podcasters is that, well, firstly, everyone's trying to be Chris Williamson, no one's trying to be themselves. But then when they get past that stage, they're trying to say something intelligent. And if you're trying to say something intelligent, you're just genuinely not listening. You can't. It was Rick Rubin that actually broke that down. It was like the way your brain works, it can't process and then like articulate something new at the same time. So you're just physically not listening to someone.
Yeah.
So that gives you a good understanding of communication. So I was able to go into sales calls, or I was able to do public speaking and read the room. I do a lot of workshop stuff. I can just see if someone's fucking bored for the most part. But then you can articulate it. And then what I'm trying to say with this is that you learn a skill of like communication, psychology, sales. And then it's like, okay, I want to learn copywriting. Well, I don't know how to write, but maybe it's like all this stuff over here. And maybe I can apply these principles to over here.
Yeah.
And then we get the content and the sales in place. Now, I want to ask you about the funnels on it. Because you speak a lot about most people don't actually have funnels or even know what they are. How much of that was awakening to you when you started working with people that they just don't understand the back end? Just fucking don't.
It depends on what level of business they're at. So if we're just starting out, they shouldn't build a funnel.
They shouldn't.
If you want to build a business, like $10,000 a month, just pick up the phone and call people you know. Like literally, like it's literally like you don't need a funnel or anything. Like a lot of the time, like things are just excuses because like we feel good when we build stuff. So when I started our business, I thought first I need to build everything. Then I need to sell people in. And then once I sell these people in, then I got to get new leads. And so that's how you think about it. That's how you build a business. So because I lost 180 grand in the first like 8 months because I just went out, I bought HubSpot Enterprise. It was like 15 grand a year. I like had all these staff and stuff. And I was like, I rented an office thing. It was just one for me, but like it was just all this stuff that I bought, but like it was just like literally pointless. Like, but I just thought you needed it. But like when I really kind of balled back to it and then like I just realized and I was like, oh, actually it's the other way around. Like Daniel Priestley talks about it where, you know, the first thing you sell is leads, then sales, then you build the thing. And I was like, oh wow, I got this so wrong. And so like a lot of people where I do think funnels and stuff matter, but like every single post you make on socials or every DM you send is a mini funnel in itself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all metadata that you're leaving in places where people are coming back to you. And so like most people, when it comes down to like funnels, it's like if they're just starting out, like you just got to talk to more people. Like the biggest problem with people starting out is if you were on a bus, right? You know, no one speaks on a bus anymore, right? 20 years ago, everyone spoke on a bus. If you said to them, hey, just go talk to that random human, they'd be like, no way I'm going to do that. Like I'm so scared. They might think I'm an idiot. That's like the problem. That's the actual problem. They're too scared to put themselves out there for like any of their own reasons. But like once you get past that point, and then once you start talking to people, like usually the only thing, if I can get someone to just like I've got this one client, Pranjal. He was 25, like, and for 4 months on LinkedIn, he made no money. Like he made nothing. And he was like living in Canada. He's formerly from India. So he was like kind of studying there. He was trying to do his business thing. And we started working together. He got a deal with me because I saw he was like, you know, super like driven. And I was like, all right, I'll give you a good deal to come in, but you have to come to every call. He came 2:30 a.m. He'd be on the call from Canada. Like, and I was like, this dude. And he'd pest me with everything. But he just did it.
Yeah.
Like, and 12 months later, he's made 150 grand cash. And like, he's like, dude, I can't actually be in Canada anymore because I'm around these bad friends. I'm going to move back home to my parents in India for 6 months to build the business. Now he's like about to go on his second holiday in Thailand. But like, I actually got on a call with him last week and we looked at his DMs and I read them. They were terrible. They were so bad. He pitched it every message and I was like, dude, we have to fix this. Like he was taking meetings in his parents' bedroom, spare room in the background with a cap on and stuff. And I was like, bro, you can't do this for like corporates. You're selling to 9-figure e-commerce brands. Like, and so, but just the sheer fact that he just muscled his way there and he didn't look professional or anything, he just made it. Just so he didn't need anything. And now I told him, I was like, okay, cool. When you get on a call, blur the background, wear a collared shirt and no hat. As bad as it is, it really matters. And then, because like in the background, it was like, it looked hectic, his background. And I was like, dude. And then I was like, okay. And then when you're speaking to people, just don't pitch in the first message. Just talk to them 3 times before you do. And he closed like a massive deal the next day. And he's like, dude, it worked. But like from the funnel side of things, I know you want to talk about that tactical stuff, but like most people, you don't need anything, this stuff that's online, you don't need it. You just need you and a cell phone. That's it. Like you can just like, you know, if you want to sell to accountants or lawyers, just call your accountant. Like I just call my accountant, Paul, be like, hey, Paul, I'm thinking about doing this offer for accountants. Can I take you to lunch? I'll buy you a steak place that you like and can I just ask you questions? And you'd be like, yeah, sure, let's go to it. Or if I don't have an accountant, I'll call my dad and be like, Dad, do you know any accountants? Do your friends know any accountants? My family friends. And I'd take like 5 of them out to lunch. And like, I'm thinking about doing an offer for accountants. I want to know. You'll learn more in these 5 lunch meetings than you'll even thought about for a year before.
Spend
when you're
6 months
ideating
building something, right?
You'll spend 12 months ideating the idea, but it's nothing. And then you'll realize it was like this one tiny little piece that they needed fixed. And then after that, to get a client, you just say, hey, look, I go back to the accountant. I'd be like, Paul, can I just work for you for free and just do it? I'll come into your office and I'll just like work with you. And he'd be like, yeah, sure. And I just do it with him. And then after that, then I would just sell something that's like cheap. I'd say to the next person, hey, I did this thing for Paul. We really liked it. Nick, do you want it as well? Like, it's $500. I'll come in and do it in your office. And then I just do that. And then I just keep going. And then later on, once I've worked with like, you know, the only thing you should be doing in the beginning is like working with clients. Like that's it. There's nothing else. Like, and anything else you're doing is an excuse. It's procrastination. That's it. other than like if you're taking care of your kids and your family and stuff. And so you just do that. And then when you do it heaps of times, then you're like, oh, I know their problems. I can start writing about it now. But like most of go back to the copywriters on LinkedIn, super introverted, super scared to talk to people. They wrote online for 2 years because like it took me 2 years to get my first client. Now I make $3,000 in 3 hours. And you're like, dude, you could have got your first client in literally 10 seconds. You could have just like called your dad and asked if they had a friend. And so it's just like there's all this, you don't need this stuff. But when you have this stuff and when you are making money, like if we're talking funnels, like most people should just have a straight lead magnet funnel. It's just, if I've worked with 5 or 10 accountants and I help them with this thing, then I'm just going to package it all up in something for free. And I'm just going to put it on my profile and we say, give me your email and then you can get it. And then I'll write content that talks about the problems that I'm solving the accountants. I'm going to demonstrate, not like, talk about myself. I'm just going to demonstrate. And then if I do 7 posts in a week, then on Friday, if I get 5 leads and every other day I got 0, well, that post worked. So I write more. So the impressions don't matter.
No,
like,
not at all.
It's just, and I've heard you talk about this a lot. You can probably write content that'll get 20 likes, but you'll get 5 leads. Because
the tab is so small, right? That's the whole logic, is that's what you were trying to go after, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a big bullshit with the whole like online space.
It's because like it's hard because I don't think anyone means badly about it, but like people will see they'll sell a LinkedIn growth course and they'll position around how to grow and get clients on LinkedIn, and they're not doing anything that's like bad. But people going into it just have some type of an assumption that if they produce content, they'll get clients. And it's probably just because content is, everyone's like all in on content, right? And the other thing is when you put out a piece of content and you get 10 likes, if you've had 0 likes, you get dopamine, which feels like a reward mechanism. And so, but the problem with like, you never want to like talk and tell everyone your goals. Like you kind of don't want to do it. Like I had breakfast with Derek Sivers one time and he's wrote Anything You Want. He built this company, CD Baby. He's got this TED Talk that's got 2 million thingers, and I had breakfast with him. We chatted for ages.
I had a few chats as well.
Yeah,
he didn't want to come on the pod because
he hates pods.
he wanted to come on. It's just that now that we're more like make money online space. He was like, I have an email where he goes, I don't care about money.
The majority of my guests run content businesses. They've used content as the main element of their business to drive more revenue and build their influence online. We've been doing this through a podcast for many years. We have many guests, clients, and even customers use a podcast as their main source of driving more revenue for their business and building their influence online. And we're offering a handful of spots to book in a call with our team to learn how you can leverage a podcast to generate more revenue for your business and drive your influence online. Many of our clients and customers start from nothing, but each one of them are action takers and they want to learn more about how to build a podcast and a brand right around their business. So if you want to learn more and you're really interested in building a podcast, check out the link down below and book in a free call with our customer success manager, and he will guide you into how you can build and generate more revenue from your podcast this year.
Yeah, he doesn't like he's fucking hilarious, that guy. But like he did this TED Talk and it's 5 minutes long and you can watch it and it's amazing. He's like, don't tell anyone your goals, because when you tell people your goals like out loud, it just doesn't happen. Because then it creates this little thing in your brain. If you tell people, you feel like you've half got there. So people are like, all right, I'm doing a new year. I'm going to shred 10 pounds or 10 kilos. Guys, I'm doing it. I'm announcing it on social media. I'm like doing this thing, telling all their friends. And then like 3 weeks later, they eat pizza again. Like what? It doesn't happen. Because when you externalize it and say it, you feel good. So you don't do it. But what happens with social media is there's this positive feedback loop that's created from this algorithm that's meant to manipulate people. That's the whole goal, is to manipulate you to stay on the thing. And so if you do a post that gets 1,000 likes, that means the platform got 1,000 times attention and a lot of impressions. So they want to engineer that. Like they actually do. So they engineer the platform in a way for you to feel like you got a reward based off that. So that's why I really like the lead magnet funnel, because then you see like, did I get leads? And then there comes another dopamine hit that you get, because you can never escape the dopamine hit of the platform. Even though I know it deep down into my core, it still affects me when I get low reach. It does to everyone. It does.
Of course. And it's a status, right? It's just like an internal driver. But it's funny because the posts that LinkedIn push the most are generally not ones that you want anyway, right? As in, they're not going to be very specific, because if you think about it, LinkedIn on their back end, forget about your content, they're going to put one that's quite broad in front of a broad audience.
Yeah.
So even though you have a LinkedIn offer, for me in the podcast space, if a bunch of fucking writers on Twitter are seeing this podcast offer, they're going to it's going to be non-congruent with LinkedIn as well as them.
Yeah.
So that there's a red flag. So what I always say to our clients, because podcasts is hard to grow, right, is that if you had 1 million views per video, I would be more concerned. Because then you're getting a random 15-year-old, right? It's just non-congruent. Whereas if we get really specific and there's a lot of specificity, then we know as a result that, okay, we're pulling in the right people, at least. Yes, it's not 1,000 leads, but at least it's the right fucking leads, right? And you can leverage that up. Like what we're doing now on YouTube is that I have like a Build With Me series.
Yeah.
And it's basically almost like an insight into like our programs, and it's a bit more specific. And then we're having a different funnel on the back end, depending on where it is. Some of it can go into a lead magnet, which again can be a 7-day course or whatnot. Or what I'm thinking of doing tomorrow is just standing here and just doing a complete free course for YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like how to start, grow, and monetize a podcast. It's 3 hours long. You may have seen some of them on YouTube, like a free course.
So a guy I know, Brian Mark, he did about $10 million a year last year on Instagram, and he coaches people to become online fitness coaches.
Mm-hmm.
He said his biggest acquisition channel is his YouTube free training.
Free training.
So have a look at his one. That's converting like crazy.
And that's what Iman does every year. So every year he'll do like a 2025 business model.
Yeah.
And then every other video links back to that video. And then, for us, it can just be a link into the program, which is a book a call funnel, or it can just go straight to the call funnel.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's, you go back to points of leverage, right?
Yeah.
Content has a high asymmetrical return when done correctly. Whereas if I'm talking about like the fucking 4 ways to optimize your fucking testosterone on LinkedIn, and that takes off, well, that's not going to help me.
Like, if we're talking about, just say LinkedIn in particular, right? 99% of people are employees. They're scrolling LinkedIn when they're sitting on the toilet at 9:20 in the morning after they drank their double shot latte. And they're scrolling LinkedIn because they don't want to scroll TikTok because the person in the next stall is going to hear them scrolling TikTok. So they're scrolling LinkedIn and they see the motivational quote post come out. We're saying bad manager's bad. And they're like, yeah, fuck my manager. Like that's what's happening. Like if you really break it down to it, like that is LinkedIn. It's a recruiter platform. Like that's the reason why I like it though, because it feels like it's built on Windows 95, which
competition
is
right. Well.
It's so shit of a platform that, that no one goes to it. So it's not sexy. Yeah. And so like no one wants to get on it. And that's why like it's so good, because you think back to school, demand and supply, right? Like, you just look at the basic economics. When there's, less competition on something as well, less supply, there's going to be like more demand if someone's going to find the thing. Like and so the reason LinkedIn's great is because you're competing against like the worst stuff ever. And like it shows virality because that's a lot of the people that are on the platform, because it's a recruiter first platform and it's an arm of Microsoft. I don't even know if they care about the platform LinkedIn, right? Like, do they actually care? It's such a small percentage of their revenue, right? It'd be so much better if LinkedIn was independent, because then they'd actually progress the thing.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I love that it sucks because like I put out a lead magnet post last week, right? We wrote a book on sell by chat, how to sell in the DMs. And we created a sell by chat, a prompt, which is a GPT that trains you on how to sell in the DMs. And it got like 3,800 comments now. and 135,000 impressions. And that's enough leads for a year. and lead magnets on LinkedIn, I'll talk to you about it after, how you can do one. I want to show you as well, because I think that'll explode.
Sure.
But lead magnets on LinkedIn right now are the shit. Like that's how you get, we had a client, he's 23. His name's Keenan. He worked a job. He's a junior, sells e-commerce stuff, but he was working a job. And he joined our program because he wants to do his own thing on the side. He was trying Twitter for ages, it didn't work. He did his third lead magnet, got 10,500 comments in total. And he stopped posting for 4 months because he had so many leads. He booked 35 calls inbound off the post itself as well. But that wouldn't happen on TikTok and all these platforms as well. It's just such a different platform.
Yeah.
And there's no competition there. Everyone's oh, LinkedIn's dead. reach is down, like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, it's got the average earner earns 3 times as much as every other social platform.
Mm-hmm.
There's no people that troll you like Twitter and Reddit, like they don't just destroy you. Like the only thing people complain about is that everyone's overly positive. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but you can go to SalesNav and you can look at someone's profile and you can say, I know how much money you have. You can literally tell. You can go to someone's profile and you can be like, did they work at McKinsey for 4 years and they go to this university and they left to become a consultant in a year? Well, they probably earned $200,000 a year for these 4 years. Like, and then I can use a tool to personality profile them. But if you go to Instagram, you have zero idea. And so everyone's doing all these Instagram, like, whatever the thing is, the automated outreach.
Money chat.
Yeah, fuck all this shit, right? Like, which is like really like Instagram works and stuff, but like LinkedIn is like the shit. Like,
dude, everything works when you work, right? And of course, there's levels to the game. What I always tell people is like, when they launched LinkedIn Video, all the podcasters, I was like, this is the best opportunity ever because on YouTube you're competing with Mr. Beast. On LinkedIn you're competing with Todd from KPMG Accounting. And like Todd's a fucking loser and he's one step away from getting divorced, right? So the access you have is just 10 times easier. So why would you not utilize it, right? And like we've had so I've always ran everything off LinkedIn for years and it works perfectly. However, because for B2C, Instagram is a big opportunity. We and my head of brand is from an Instagram background. He was like, look, dude, let's just start running up Instagram. And I already have like 11 or 12K on Instagram. So I was like, okay, cool. So I let him take care of it. So he's been 6-7 months at it. We book a ton of calls off Instagram. Sick. But this is the whole thing. Instagram is infamous for guys that are like bullshitters. So you'll get on a call and a guy's like, yeah, bro, like all in. Like, I'm all in, bro. Like, where's the Stripe link? All in. And we send it over and he's like, yeah. Just got to get something by the door. My dog just took a shit. And then he comes off the call and then he like blocks you.
See you later.
Yeah. So it's just infamous for like make believe. Like guys will generally waste your time and pretend that they're an entrepreneur. And there's no way to map it to logic.
It's just like, you can't see where did they go to school. You can't see who their mutual connections are. Like LinkedIn is like, it's so OP that like you can see like into the person. Like you can kind of just tell how much money they have and make estimates based off.
Dude,
like
if you go through your Explore page, you'll find people from your high school and you're like, this person's still making 40K a year. Like you can literally see it by their job, So. And there's a bunch of benchmarks you can do with that as well. So it gives you a better insight. Is there anything else around there that I'm missing in terms of how you basically bring people from 0 to 6 figures or even 6 figures, 7 figures?
I could just talk through the process if you want, just start to finish, like a kind of course thing.
Yeah, of course.
I'll tell you like one thing about LinkedIn though. Like I did a post and I talked about like a lot of people were shitting on Zoom and I was like, I did a post and I was like, fucking love Zoom. I had a great 3 years there. Thank you, Eric Yuan, for making the company. Thanks for saving us all on COVID. Fuck you people for like, shitting on it, right? Like, who cares? They want to charge you $20 a license now. Who gives a shit? Like, they literally saved you during COVID, right? The world would have fallen to shit. Like, Skype wasn't a thing. Like, and I tagged Eric Yuan, the CEO, and he DM'd me. He's a billionaire. Like, and like we had like conversation back and forth, and like literally, and he's like, yeah, this is my personal email. Like, if you want to reach out and like talk to me, which I'm going to do soon as well. But like, the access who you can get onto is like it's stupid. Like, you can't message people on Instagram and stuff and do that. And it's just a big dick fest on Instagram. That's it.
It is.
It literally is like, how many followers can I have and stuff like that. With LinkedIn, I'll get like someone DM me who's got 2,000 followers and they have like a $200 million company. And it's just like, I'm just like perplexed by it. I think it's just because the UI is so bad and people just think it's shit.
Yeah, and people just think it's super woke, right? They just think it's very like woke political. And it definitely was. I think funny enough, Justin Welsh started the online business niche in LinkedIn. He started it. Then you had people like Matt Gray jump on it, and then like a few other guys, and then that basically just created a flywheel for people to be comfortable with selling an offer. Like it gave people permission, and they changed their bio to like, I help X do Y in Z, But he started that. And then it's funny because like he's such god status that like now he's kind of like, he's not already out of it, or is he out of it? I don't know. Like,
his business model is just different, right? Like, he started coaching, and everyone should start with a services-based business where you trade your time for money, and you should coach, and you should do things with people. And then he just like leveled up, and his content got better, and he was like, I can sell courses now.
Starting to rain.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in here for the
Great.
night.
Exactly.
Dude,
which is...
are you doubling down on YouTube?
Yeah, so I made for 5 months, I made YouTube content as well. And it did really well. And people converted if they went to the YouTube and stuff like that. And then I met with a YouTube consultant and he was like $8,000 for an hour. And I was like, but he's got like 1 million subscribers and he was a weapon. I might do it, but I've just got other priorities first that will just make us way more money first. And then I will double down and 10x go onto YouTube as well. But we just have we haven't even tapped out LinkedIn. We literally can make this is my scenario that I'm in right now. I have 15,700 leads in my Go High level thing, which have all opted in for our lead magnets. And 35% of phone numbers.
35% there.
Have phone numbers. They've given me their phone number. My lead magnet has a phone number opt-in now. You're giving me a phone number. And so I haven't even we've generated so many leads on LinkedIn. I have unlimited, I can't work the leads. I'm hiring a sales team to work the leads. We don't have, that's our issue.
The constraint on the business.
That's the constraint, is the sales team working the leads. That's the pure constraint. I was thinking about outsourcing the sales team to someone I know who's a weapon. But that's the constraint. And we've generated so many leads from posting for 2 years, but from lead magnet posts, our list is 16,000 people. It's crazy.
Why not give people an opportunity to buy off the lead magnet?
Because I don't want to sell to everyone. I don't think our program is correct for a lot of people. I don't the reason I don't like a lot of stuff that's B2C, a biz op offer, right? Is people take money from people who it's not right for them. Literally. And so I actually don't let anyone buy online. They have to talk to someone from me on my team before they buy. You can't actually buy our stuff. And so it also adds a level of special. It makes it a bit special as well at the same time. But I've thought about that. But then to engineer a funnel that you can sell something for that much money is also really hard to do. And I've even seen people with massive followings and they can't do it. And so it just requires. And so the conversion mechanism of chatting to another human is so easy to control. It's
true. It just have the constraint on the business is contact.
Yeah, it's contact. And so that's our constraint right now, which I'm not unhappy about. We make so much money. Our margins are insane. We don't pay for ads. I'm living a good life. And we're just, now it's just all right, we're going to take it to 10 million this year. That's the goal, 10 million profit.
This year?
To the end of this year. And so because our margins are just crazy high. And so we want to take it to 10, but with the lead volume we've got, we just look at the KPIs with the amount of chats we start, the leads we touch and all that kind of stuff. And we just know how many will convert. Plus we're bringing out a whole bunch of higher ticket offers, and we're bringing out this thing called growth mode, which is going to have software in it as well. But it's all, when you have a community of people, they just tell you what they want. Yeah. And so we know what they want and need, and now we're just building all this stuff. And so we're going to have a whole setup that'll come out for people that will just have all their funnels and everything that just preloaded and done. And then they'll pay $20K a pop for that, really easily. And so we're kind of hormozying it with the licensing model. With Gym Launch, that's what he was able to do. He went and sold for all the gyms, and then he just licensed it as an education model. And then they went bananas really quick, because they sold it for $16,000 or $42,000 a year.
42 grand was the mastermind.
Yeah, the mastermind. It was $16,000 a year for to get in up front. So that's our kind of main goal right now. And then the thing about YouTube, it's it's good, but I went deep into it, and then I realized one day I was this is just a distraction. It's just I wanted to do it because I got the camera set up at home. I got all the stuff. It helps. But I know the constraint right now. And so one day I was I was watching a video that, I can't remember who it was. And I heard someone went to one of Hormozy's conferences in Vegas, and they just said, we only fix one problem at a time. And I was what am I doing with a to-do list with 5 things on it? Fuck that. There's just one thing. And so I just went, I'm just going to do one thing. And Steve, my business partner, was you focus on all the tech stuff. I'm just going to focus on selling more. That's it. And we're just going to build the team and scale it and just focus on that. So
you're building the team, sorry.
Yeah, we're just building a team and just hiring people and just placing things and working it out as I go along and stuff like that as well. And then scaling it. It just takes a while to bring people and train them up and stuff. But,
yeah, of course. And it's also very difficult to bring in killers.
It's with the leads that we have, when I look at other people's conversions and stuff like that, we have enough leads to be doing $20 or $30 million a year. That's if I look at other coaches, the amount of leads, I'm in a mastermind with a whole other coaches who do 20 million a year and give each other information. And they're dude, you fucking have so many leads. I'll do a lead magnet post that a one I did last week and 3,800 comments. 70% of them, or like a crazy high amount, are ideal clients.
So how can you solve the bottleneck issue?
You just have to hire more people and just train them and put in systems. Like that's literally it. Like, and just takes time. So I've just like, I interview heaps of people, bring them on.
But it's just sales reps.
Yeah, literally. It's just reps. And just doing the reps. That's it.
And then for your fulfillment, how do you manage the fulfillment with?
There's no fulfillment. That's
Is there a community?
We have a community. We've got group calls. You post in the community. You can DM me, and I've got other coaches in there as well. Like we've got 3 people from LinkedIn who are coaches.
Yeah.
And I have 2 calls a week that are meant to go for an hour and a half, but I stay on there for like 3 hours each time because people just keep asking questions. So I just stay on there. And then I have a higher ticket community, which we haven't even started really monetizing yet. Like we just brought in like 10 people and it's just like super bespoke. And there's 2 calls a week. So that's like, for me, there's like 3 plus 1.5. That's like 9 hours of calls a week that I'll do. We don't take any sales calls or like anything like that. It's just sold through like we sell like 35% probably, maybe 30%. This is just guesstimating through email. It's just through running offer campaigns. Like I will just say, hey, we're going to be working with a small group of business owners next month to help them build a LinkedIn lead generation system for their business. Would you like to join us? Send that once a month. Get a bazillion people come back. Hey, cool. Have read the offer doc. Let me know if you're in or out. And because I haven't pitched the person for like ever, and I just invite them, if they get the email and are interested, they just turn off. But they've been marketed to for like 12 months and they've got all the value, all the lead magnets, and then they lose a big client and they're like, oh yeah, I'll do it now. And then they just join. So I think a lot of people overthink things like on like the way it needs to be done. Sometimes
sequencing.
Sorry?
So people get the sequencing wrong. Like they think that it's like, it has to be this and then this and then this and then this.
A lot of people just like, I don't know. It depends who we're talking to. Like, but that's our issue. Like the leads is the problem, like initially, and building the systems. Because I'm not a systems guy. My business partner is. And so he's building the systems.
That's super interesting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like that's why the coaching model is so fucking clear because the systems aren't even that complicated. If you compare it to like a done for you component, right? No, it's not.
We tried done for you LinkedIn like 2 years ago in like November. So it was like a year and 3 months ago. And I sold in like 7 people because they wanted it. They all gave me the money.
It's easier to get people to put the trust in you versus the trust in them.
And I refunded everyone after 3 weeks. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing this. This is too hard. Like, no way. Because the amount of complexity that's, and you mentioned it before, the expectation of the client, I would do it if they paid us like $50,000. I would do it. It's a different thing. But even then, I still probably wouldn't do it now. Like I'd do a hybrid coaching 1-to-1.
That's what our high ticket is now. Yeah. So it's like, it kind of goes back to like, again, traffic, how much traffic you can get, how many leads you can get, how many of them are qualified, like what's the laps you need, leads, appointments, presentations and sales to be able to get that really going. Because I think like in our education side, our offer's 20K, right? So we don't fucking need that many people, but we need the right people.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's why, and then for me, then like the acquisition can be organic, or we can put flames on it by going outbound. We're not actually going, because we're not going outbound to cold. It's important here. The only thing that's doing is people are coming inbound. We're testing ads on IG and then seeing, because like basically, because we have good production, because we're not potatoes, the cost of running ads for us is super low.
Yeah.
Because the qualities are so high, and the positioning is good. So what's the mechanism to scale that up? Because like I know quite well Dickie Bush and Nicholas Cole. They have a similar business model with us, which is like hybrid coaching basically. And Dickie's the same age as me, he's 28. We have the same background in finance.
Yeah.
And the difference is when I met him, which was about 8 months ago, we were doing 100K a month and he was doing close to $1 million a month.
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, bro, what's the difference? And he was like, honestly, man, the only thing that was different for him was the sales team and the ads.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the offer works, the CAC is kind of low, the LTV is pretty high. I think they only have one offer, which is 8,500. They have a 6,500 and 8,500. And
they have a mastermind though, don't they? That's probably more expensive.
I don't think they have a mastermind yet.
I've seen them do in-person events, like online videos and stuff. So I would guess that's like 20 grand maybe.
Well,
that's their next
maybe
level.
If that's included in that. But so that was the conversation. He was like, the only thing that's different is the sales team and the ads. So that they're the two things that I'm basically trying to figure out, because if there's no fulfillment in done with you, it's easy to ramp that up,
Definitely.
right? Do you get me? Because like, you said there about the, what I said to you about the constraint on the businesses.
Yeah.
It's funny, like the tier constraint is amazing, right? Because constraint in the beginning is leads.
Yeah.
And then the next constraint then is qualified or unqualified.
Yeah.
And then it's like your sales team's fucking shit at speaking or on calls.
Yeah.
And then it's like your product sucks.
Yeah.
So the product is really good. Now we're trying to reverse engineer it backwards. But
what is your constraint then? What do you think it is?
We've rebuilt the sales team several times.
Yeah.
The team we have now though is really good. They're guys that were B2B sales guys. So did like, equivalent like Zoom. And then we've an IG team. So we fixed that. Now working with Eman, our sales metrics are really fucking good.
Yeah.
So we have finally cleaned it all up. Yeah. So like we have everything from show rate.
You got a dashboard with everything in it.
Got a dashboard that we built ourselves. Now it's not fucking super beautiful. But dude, I got quoted the most crazy prices. The HubSpot 15K. That's what I was getting quoted for, the simplest shit ever. So now that's taken care of. So sales management is taken care of. So now we know that we can get good leads in, and even like the call functioning, the positioning is good. And the other thing is I think we're just trying to work out the ads for IG, just because it's an opportunity. That's kind of it, bro. I guess like leads is always a thing, right?
Yeah.
But why I'm hesitant to say leads is a problem is because the TAM of podcasting is so small that we are already constrained by the size of the TAM. So we're basically
so let's say what's the perfect ideal client for you?
Depends on the offer. If it's in core, so the agency, it's a 7 to 8 figure business who want their podcast just completely taken care of for them.
Like, could you build a list of these people?
That was our first offer. We already have a list of them.
No, but could you build a list of everyone you can sell to in like the world? Like, let's say, is the TAM like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or is it like?
Oh, you mean in one list?
Yeah.
Well, in theory, there's 300,000 active podcasts.
Okay.
And then of that 300,000, then with the split, who's like absolutely fucking broke, right? Which is probably like 40%.
Yeah.
And then our low ticket, but our incubator offer could capture a proportion of them.
If you get in front of these people, like, can you just sell to them? Like, are you pretty good? You talk to them?
We have a really good
team. As in, like, when you speak to them, like, hey, have a conversation, like, their pain points, what they want to do.
Oh, yeah, because like it was me, right?
Yeah.
Like this is me in 2020. Like, dumbass, no idea what I'm doing. A little bit of cash in my pocket from my 9 to 5. I want to build an online business. I need to understand what a podcast. I'm using a podcast because I want to like build my network and shit. And then at the same time, then I want to be able to build an offer in the back end. Yeah. So we're injecting an offer, just like you're doing it. But we just use a podcast because, and then the framing is just that you want to do it. You're a social guy. You don't want to spend your time like writing or whatever. Just use a podcast. Same shit. Because then basically that's it in a nutshell, without getting too complicated.
Yeah.
So that's why the education piece for us, done by my mate Tom, was a huge unlock, because what happened was people, as you said, people want it done for them. But then they're like, Jesus fucking Christ, it's 5K a month.
Yeah.
So then it's like, all right. So this is an and else statement. Yeah. Everyone that's in the else goes into the incubator.
Yeah.
But then what happened then was we've gotten really good results for people.
Yeah.
That they were like, I don't really want a team. I don't want to like outsource it. And then that's when we brought in Apex, which is just like, okay, you're making 30K a month. We can get you to 80K a month or 100K a month by adding in some systems and sales.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's interesting. I would just, I come from like the cold outreach background. So what I like, I've been doing this now, like with podcasts. This is like, so my cold outreach activity every day is like to outreach to get on podcasts. That's like, so I'm just using that skill now. And so like I did that to get on Chris Do. I spent 2 hours writing a post. I watched one of his videos with Yasmin Alec. So like I did a pitch post and I cold DM'd him and I got on his podcast and I was like, cool. Like I was like, so it's like using that skill, but like when you got a small kind of like TAM, it's like you just, if you look at like lookalike audiences, so like who's a client of yours that's been like had just an insane ROI that you can just easily help other people. And then you just find that person, you're like, cool, that's a case study. And then you just like find the 500 identical people and you just like reach out.
Well, we have that. So we have like the old guys who are like super wealthy.
Yeah.
And we have loads of those good testimonials and case studies. Then we have the young guys who are 19, 20 who are just crushers.
Yeah.
And then we have the guys in there in the career change, 30 to 40 bracket, who've done the 10 years in sales. And now they're building their solo entrepreneurship business.
Yeah.
So we actually have 3 different buckets.
Yeah.
And depending on the prospect, we'll position the testimonial in the right way.
But I mean, like you can, like back when I was at TeleSense, the company, I just called people up and be like, hey, I know you got this company. I know you got all these problems. I know you got this bill. We do a free audit. And so we essentially had Hormozy talks about the best type of lead magnet is a services-based lead magnet. You actually do something for them. Like you get on a call and actually do something for them. Like I got a client that's like crushing right now with this. He does LinkedIn lead generation like me. So he gets to copy what we do, which is amazing. But he's just does it for the German market. And so like, but his thing on his profile is like, I'll give you a free LinkedIn profile analysis, and everyone wants that. And so, but like reaching out and having like a services, that's how we built that other company. And you just get on, and the whole goal of the services lead magnet is just to build trust with them, to show that you're not a fraud and you're like shit, and then you can get them an outcome. But that's how sometimes, when I think about niche, like real niche, I always think about like sometimes you can just go direct, like to them, and just because, and you can say something in 2 minutes that they're like, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, that's correct. And but you can only do that when you know the niche so well, you know them better than they know themselves. Yeah. Like that's the only way you can do that. A lot of people can't do it because they just like have no idea. They've never chatted to.
Yeah, they're selling fucking SEO to nail salons, right?
Well, they just chose like these niches or industries, but like
for no reason.
A lot of small businesses as well, like that. I see this all the time. That's why they really, really struggle, is because they've been in business for 5 years. They started from a few referrals, and just from pure inertia of existing, they grew. So they never got lead generation right. Their actual service isn't that good, but they just existed. And they just were there and apparent, and they had a saying, we're in business, and they got business. It's why I used to go to a networking group called BNI, an in-person networking group. It's like a big cult thing, right? I do CrossFit, I do BNI, I'm all in the cults, right? But like all the businesses there have been there for 20 years, and they got all their business through referrals. But like the actual businesses that they had were not good.
Yeah.
Like this is why most people just don't market enough. That's why they can't grow. Just because they turned up to a networking event 2 hours a week, and they had a KPI where they had to give a certain number of referrals, and they had a KPI where you have to do one-to-ones with other people to give them referrals. Their business just grew because they just turned up and existed as well. And I think a lot of people, when they go down the route of like, they've just had, especially when I look at people who have had an older business for a while, and I'm like, I don't know, like, because they could have just got there through inertia, through referrals or whatever, just because if someone gets a referral, they just want to make a decision and buy. And so a lot of small businesses, they'll ask their family and friends, like, do you guys know an SEO agency? And they'll be like, yeah. Go speak to this guy who's like never done anything before. And they're like, I get along with you. We went to the same school together. Cool. And like, it's just, and they'll just never fix the services. So there's all these mediocre businesses that like, but they don't know that because they've never had to sell from cold, or they've never had to do outreach. You know, your shit's good if you can outreach to people or do content and actually do sales. And a lot of the businesses, like they are stuck in this thing, but they don't even know. That's the worst part. And then when they realize, they're like, oh shit, like they actually realize what happened. So it's a whole swath of businesses doing that, which is so like they can't do you could do the outreach or that whatever, because like, you just know, like, but a lot of people just they're kind of like working a job in a business. It's kind of like they just created themselves another job.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they just build this system. They work with any clients. They take any lead that kind of comes with them. So they haven't probably the right word is they haven't productized their service.
Yeah.
That's probably the right word. And they've just like a glorified, like really good consultant that's an expert in like a lot of things, like instead of like going into one thing.
That's why for me, it's so crazy that people who sell stuff they don't know about. Like I physically just will never understand it. How they just like, oh, I'm going to work on this offer or this agency or whatnot. They don't truly understand it. That's why, you asked me like, how much do I know about the industry?
Yeah.
It's so easy to write emails and just look for hand raisers. Like, yeah. Like, dude, you can do like semi-automated, semi-personalized, so half automated messages with a bit of spin taxing. And then be like, are you fucking struggling to grow your podcast? Are you super underwater with this? Happy to send you over. Like, again, it's a free audit, free review, whatever. And it's funny because you might look at that and be like, that's so fucking stupid. Everyone can send those emails, but you would be surprised with how much responses you get.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, dude, like running a podcast sucks. I thought it was going to be fun. And I spent most of my time doing admin. I'm like, let me send you a video on how to automate that or how to like streamline that or make it more simpler. Yeah. So I think like the business of the future like that is one that's just super adaptive, right? So like all these AI tools that come out, we're on them 24/7. The reason why we can have so many clients is because we're just constantly checking what's new to do.
You're productizing the thing.
But it's because like, you know, the guys are like, oh, AI is going to replace your business. It's going to replace if you don't fucking keep up with it. But a lot of these guys they don't stay on top of it, right? So for their own stuff. Yeah. Just like we don't stay on for our own stuff too. There's definitely more stuff we could be doing. So it's like, okay, how can I use something like that? Make things way more efficient, way faster and better quality, should I say, for people. And then just position it. And like people are happy to buy stuff from people when it fucking helps them. That's the moral of the story. Same with you, right? You walk them down to the DMs. They know that, okay, this is either a new opportunity or it's a pain.
Yeah.
And they both light up different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
You know, for different reasons.
Yeah, vitamin or painkiller.
Yeah, like, but even at that, right? If I'm like, oh, like sell by chat. Oh, I haven't explored it like that. Yeah. Someone can at least open their mind to it because they can see the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can go down the rabbit hole of like so many problems that actually happen as well. But yeah, you can't, unless you're like obsessed. I'll actually just talk about, say, positioning, because we talked about positioning a bit before this. I think just initially people, they just get their positioning wrong and they just try to be everything to everyone and they become nothing to no one.
Yeah.
And it's like the easiest way to just sell more is if I do B2B lead generation on LinkedIn, I'm just going to say I help Sydney-based financial advisors do B2B lead generation on LinkedIn. And the scope of what you do gets smaller. But what happens is people automatically assume that you can help them. Like, and even though it's the same information. And like I lost a deal to someone and the only difference was that this guy said, I help recruiters on LinkedIn, right? The guy who does it didn't even post on LinkedIn, like at all. Like that's how strong positioning is. And the other person see my content heaps. Like they've gone funnels, they've used this stuff, but this guy helps recruiters. That's like, when we talk about like leverage, it's like just doubling down on like positioning is like disgustingly like such a good leverage because you don't want to like, but I think people try to go too broad because they're scared of like, you know, pulling people out, but like.
It works against you, dude. Like I had a conversation with Jay Klaus. He was on the podcast in Dubai and we talked about this. It was either on the podcast or off, where he said that his biggest risk to his business, Creator Science, is people that are super specific because he's helping them with like an email, LinkedIn, podcast, YouTube, some other shit. But there's like 7 different verticals. So therefore he can't go super deep on either of them.
Yeah. When you, that's the problem though. Like when you start broad, you can't go back. Like that's the issue. It's like, you've got to start, like if you start small, like I read this book around positioning. I can't remember what the author was, but it was brilliant. Like, and she just talked about how they went up against like Salesforce as a CRM and like they just couldn't beat them, even though they had these better features. And there was this like one tiny feature that was really good for VC firms. And so they just said, we're a CRM for VC firms. And then they just exploded. And like, it's just it's because like as humans, like we're trying to put things in folders in our brain.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to look for something that like matches something else or makes sense to make an easy decision. And if there's like 10 people online that say, I help founders build personal brands on LinkedIn, it's like the worst thing you possibly say. Like it's not a niche or a position. It's like, just don't do it. Like, like you should just, or someone will say, I do it with coaches, but they never chat to do a coach. It's like, you've got to chat to the person like first, like to actually do it. But just the actual small tweak, like our client who's German, when he comes up against me, he wins. He's like, oh, this guy doesn't know German. He can't write a DM. I'll do it in German. And they'll be like, cool, I get it.
Dude, we have a client like that does B2B sales.
Yeah.
Cold calling.
Yeah.
In a German market.
Yeah. At least that would be so hard to call into.
Yeah, but he fucking loves it. He crushes. So as a result, he trains sales teams.
He could probably just, because the German market's pretty harsh, but like, it's a stereotyping, but like, you know, they're usually quite abrupt.
He's Austrian.
Yeah, but like, they're just super direct. They're just like, hey, this is a cold call. Like, is it a good time now? And I'm just like, probably saying like that.
But as a result, he crushes it. He does like in-person training and like he can do 4 or 5 gigs a month.
Yeah.
And he's happy out.
It's just like there's such this big fear. It's like around like niching down, but like people are like so scared to niche down. It's like, dude, you don't even have a business. like what are you scared of? You haven't made money. A lot of people are like, I produced content for 6 months. No one saw it. No one remembers anything. Like if you produce some post, it's like a faceless YouTube channel. Do you know what the channel's called? No one knows what the channel's called. It's like there's nothing that's associated with you. So like and like if someone is scared of niching down, just write 3 separate offer documents, pick the 3 niches you want, reach out to the 3 niches, and on your offer doc say for financial advisors, for accountants, for this, and just write the document with the heading be different. Just the heading. Don't actually even write the
Don't change anything inside
just the heading.
Yeah.
And just see which one you sell to and which one you like working to, and then just switch to that one. Like if you're scared about actually doing it, but it's like if I was going to start again, I wrote this like really long post in our community about it. If I had to start again from $0 and I wanted to make $1 million in 6 months, this is what I do. I wouldn't even use LinkedIn. I would just pick like the smallest niche, Sydney financial advisors, and I just go to in-person networking events and I just help 5 people for free. And then I just charge heaps of money for the other people to do it. And I would just like network with them and get like, and I would be like, I only work with these people. Sorry. And just because when you say you only do this one thing, the perception that you can only help that person goes up and you charge 10 times as much money. And so there's just this like, there's so much like, this is the classic one. I help founders get clients on LinkedIn.
I help busy professionals.
And it's like, like you're just swimming in the sea of everyone else. Like there's no point in differentiation. And then you click on their profile, it looks like fucking Buzz Lightyear. And you're like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Like it's like, how is Nick, my old boss, who's the 50-year-old accountant, even going to relate to you?
Yeah.
Like at all. Like, and a lot of people they don't even have professional, like, I'll talk about this as like, one thing that really matters with LinkedIn is like, your profile has to look like professional to the person you're selling to. And like one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that just their profile photo looks like bad quality and it makes you look like a kid. Like such simple things that you could change. Like I've seen some people's banners that look like they did it in like word art. Like, like it looks, and it's like, we have a free LinkedIn profile kit. Like you can go to my YouTube, it's free. You can do your profile. We have 21 things in there. You can redo it. Just even like these little things where someone like puts like their photo and it's got like a ring around it that's like pink. And I'm just like, dude, no one is going to take you seriously. It's like it just, even these such small things where it's like an immediate heuristic turnoff. It's like, just get a camera and get your parents or whatever, or your friends to take like a good quality photo with you, like looking professional. Like, and even that as positioning is like, so like.
That's so basic too, right?
Or there's another thing is like, okay, so let's say I'm struggling, I can't get clients, right? Niche down, say we've got a client who I help financial advisors generate leads on LinkedIn. Just say that. Change your profile photo to just make it super professional, and do not comment on any personal brand people's posts ever, because they all think it's spammy. And go find the top financial people who like the CFOs who post on LinkedIn and comment on their stuff. Like if you're going to spend 2 hours a day commenting, don't comment on the other personal brand people's posts who tell you to comment on their posts because it's a pyramid scheme. All the money just goes to the top. It literally is like, and everyone's just, you're spending hours of your day to pump this person up to make them feel good so they make heaps of money to sell a LinkedIn growth course. And it's like, and the person who's selling it, it's not their fault because like they're just actually trying to help people at the same time. So it's no one's fault. Like if you really want to think it down tactically, it's like when I had that call with Pranjala, our client, I was like, dude, the 8-figure e-commerce brand is not going to buy something from you when you got a cap and you got your bed in the background because you look 24. Like, and I'm like, you're at a disadvantage. You're in your parents' house. I'm like, dude, you got to look professional. Like even these like tiny things, but I think people are too, I don't know if the word liberal is bad, but like you get judged by the way you look online, and people get to a certain level where they can wear whatever the hell they want. But they're at a certain level. But before that, you got to play everything to your advantage, like everything possible. So like professional headshot. Don't make the color anything crazy. Like don't use random words. Don't try to fit a million different things into the banner. Just make it super clear what you do and just say, I help US lawyers get leads on LinkedIn, like whoever it is, and just be specific. that will generate you like I've tested it with clients. This shit's exploded because of it. Because like I got a client, Marina, she writes a post with the hook, here's how financial plan is. Like in Australia, can get leads on LinkedIn, 15 likes, 5 leads come in. It's like, because the competition is so low, but like everyone feels this like social pressure to like look cool on LinkedIn. It's like, I've got to come in on the big creators post to look cool. I've got to have my profile to like, it's kind of like we're coming back to like, you know, going to the pub and stuff and like wearing, you know, good shirt and stuff like that. It's really like weird. You've kind of got to like
optics, man.
Get out of it. Like but it actually matters. It's like, you know, a lot of people they're at a massive if you're young, if you look young, you're at a disadvantage on LinkedIn. People won't take you seriously. Business owners won't. So you have to dress yourself up in a way to make yourself look old. Because I remember when I was like 20, I just looked so young. Like people just like, and I don't know, it's all these little things that matter, but no one speaks about it.
Yep.
And it's just like, dude, if you just change that, like,
it's just the optics,
you
know, positively and negatively. But that's even the reason why like your appearance does matter. And even like where I'm going through my training right now, just doing like another big dieting phase. And I was like, I actually want to get leaner. So I just look sharper just for it's such a small thing. But again, like how you do one thing, so I do everything, right?
Well, like, let's talk about this, right? Because this is another thing that I just can't stand. Like people are like the dressing up and stuff like that, right? Like my partner, my partner's Indian. Her family runs a big business, right? And so like when I go out with them, they've got a certain level in their community that like I have to wear a suit. We went to an Indian concert in Sydney, and because their sponsors were on the front row, I have to wear a suit. But because that's the level of like status. And so when I was like even coming here, she's like, what are you wearing and stuff like that? And I was like, oh, whatever. And she's like, no, you got to wear the Rolex. But the thing is, like, you even notice that as well. But and it's not
when it's the first thing I noticed when you're outside.
when it's a flex thing, it's like then it's bad. But sometimes it's like how you hold yourself together.
It's the frame.
Yeah,
it's how you hold it. It's confidence.
Yeah, and
right?
it's why working out matters so much. It's like
so. I'll give you another example. Like I don't drink anymore. I was a super degen, and I was like partying, drugs, all that shit when I was a kid. But then now I don't drink anymore. But then you get to the point whereby people are like, oh my God, you're going to feel super awkward. And now I have like a different level of confidence. And again, it's more like the self-actualization. I'm not saying that I'm there, but it's more like that character trait whereby I can go to an event with a bunch of friends and if music playing, fucking house and techno playing, I don't feel the need to drink. Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's like another level of just like being comfortable in yourself, which is like, I have the confidence that I can hold a fucking conversation with a guy for 20 minutes. And same with that, like you wear the watch doesn't like wear you.
Yeah, right? It's like, it's really...
You have to live up to that character, bro.
There's a weird one as well. I was having a conversation with ChatGPT today and do this all the time. And so this is my biggest life hack that anyone should do ever. You should use the microphone extension with the ChatGPT, but you shouldn't do the one where you have a conversation with it where it talks back to you. You should use the speech to text. And so you should have the best quality ChatGPT, the best one you can get. And you should have conversations with it all the time. And you should tell it everything about you. So you should say, these are my personality types. These are my tendencies. And over time, it gets to learn you and everything about you. So when we have a discussion back and forth, it knows what I'm like and it can give self-assessments based off that as well. It's so crazy that after a while, like it knows all your personality types, your IQ, your deep like everything. It can tell you, and it can tell you what to do next. But we're having a conversation this morning. I forgot what it was about. Now I lost it. I'll come up with a better point. Okay, we're having a conversation this morning, and I was like writing at the same time, like on my iPad. So like I'm writing stuff to put content together at the same time as like on ChatGPT as well. And like, I lost the point. Completely lost the point.
Dude,
it'll come back. It'll come back.
We were recording for like 2 hours, dude.
That's all right. We'll come back.
Did you have an offer before where it was like AI?
So our company was called Unlock AI before.
Yeah.
Worst name ever, but whatever. It sounded cool. So this is when I didn't have my co-founder. Or we kind of made the branding thing at the start, but he was more a consultant. He wasn't co-founder then as well. It was Unlock AI, but it was the same thing, the same business, like LinkedIn lead generation. But we help people kind of write content with AI and then also do using AI tools. And a lot of the magic trick was like how to talk to ChatGPT as well. And people were like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like in the AI era. Since then, I'm like against writing content with AI. So I've kind of like totally pulled back on that as well.
So you write everything natively? Like without,
like I've done some posts that are AI, but like,
or would you refine the posts that you have with AI now that you
honestly, like 99% is like written by me, like all written by me, because the writing process is like a distillation process of your thoughts and ideas. And so when you write, it allows you to distill your thoughts and ideas and expand on them, like as you're going through at the same time. Like I was writing this morning and like I came up, like I was having a conversation with ChatGPT and I came up with an idea like through Sell by Chat. And there's a thing called the Benjamin Franklin effect, where if you ask someone to do a favor for you, like then they do it for you, a small favor, then they automatically trust you more, because you don't do a favor for someone unless you trust them. So it's like a hack. And so I was like, we're having a conversation, we're like deep down into it. And then like this suggestion popped out, was I'm writing at the same time, both at the same time, of like, I can use that in a Sell by Chat strategy. So like what I'm going to add into the DM discussions is say, oh, you're having a conversation with someone. You say, hey, oh, by the way, like I've actually got this post coming out tomorrow. I want to actually check. Can you actually have a read through it? Just to tell me, I want to know your thoughts. Does it resonate? Because you're my ideal client. I'd really like to know your thoughts. If they do that, then they just automatically trust you more and stuff like that. But that insight that I had like wouldn't have happened if I wasn't having this discussion and like writing at the same time. I had a lot of other insights as well. But like it's like the writing itself when you write, but also use ChatGPT for ideation. It's like you've got like the smartest person in the world next to you, like, and you can kind of talk to them at the same time.
And you can also paste in your entire conversations. So I often do, if you wanted to, like you paste in tonality, but like, is the tonality off? Am I too pushy? Am I too needy?
Yeah. It's also like, it's hard though, because it's trained off like the internet. So like sometimes it's like the context of it is off. Because you ask ChatGPT to write a great LinkedIn post, it's going to be shit.
But so less about the post, what you can do for posts, but if you like did an CSV file of all of your posts, right, this is my writing style, this is my tonality, this is my humor, and so on. And then here are some excerpts of my chats. Knowing this and knowing me and knowing my values of X, Y, and Z, now review this current conversation I have, and then it will be like, okay, it's too pushy, it's too needy, or so on and so forth, right? Because if you can feed it so many of your own content.
So my business partner, we built a GPT that does this for Sell by Chat. So it does work like pretty well. So it's like the secret to the prompt is it's not a GPT. He wrote the Sell by Chat book because he sold 100 grand in 3 months with no profile photo or anything. So he knows a bit about Sell by Chat. Plus he talks to me 24/7. He wrote the Sell by Chat book, and the prompt is just putting in the book. It's the prompt. So we just put the whole book in it and just say, that's the actual prompt. So if you get to the prompt page in the book, it's just the book copied. And so we just copy paste the whole book in, and then it allows you to analyze it. But even then, it's like there's something happens when you're ideating and you're having a discussion and then you're writing at the same time, where you progress and then build on your own thoughts.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Unless you're like actively learning and teaching and doing things, you don't actually distill the skill and the memory and like, you're able to build on top of it.
You get lazy, bro.
Yeah. And so like, that's why the AI content type of thing as well. It's like, I think it's okay if like you're good at writing and you can understand like what good writing is and stuff like that. But even then, like I've tried prompting for like an hour, like back and forth, and like it still gets it decent, but it still doesn't get it to the same level of depth. Like it can't say things like, this is why I'm not scared about AI beating out humans in DMs, because you can say things that AI could never say unless it lies. That's the only thing. So if I reached out to someone and say, oh, hey, yo, Bill, I just saw you connected with Sean McHugh. I was just on a call with him last night on Zoom. He's doing a Taco Tuesday night, which I was pretty excited about. I saw you're actually there, by the way. It's pretty awesome. I thought I'd actually connect with another Sydney sider. Or have you checked out that new cafe Regiment? It's got this sick chicken roll. Like I had one the other day. It was amazing. Like you can't.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with this, wrap it back to DMs and content, is the stuff that's going to go really well is going to be the stuff that AI can't do.
Yeah.
Unless it lies at the same time. But that's why that's why right now skills are so important, because like a person who is highly skilled with AI is like a weapon.
Yeah.
It's like my business partner. So we're building software. I shit you not. We have a software now that can pull out every single message you've ever sent on LinkedIn, every comment that's ever happened ever, anyone that's viewed your profile or anything. And it can analyze every single lead and it come back with a lead score out of 100 based on all your criteria. And it can tell you exactly who to reach out to. Like right now we have that. And he built that. He's not a programmer or anything, just through ChatGPT. We got one developer. It's like the speed at which you can do things. But the reason he's so good is because he's so smart and he's so skilled.
And he knows the logic. He knows what you're trying to build. Like that's most important.
But he's also a weapon at design and copywriting, like all these things. And so like it's kind of like AI is becoming this like accelerant of people that are really skilled. And so like this divide is happening with people even more. And so there's people who are coming in using the lazy route, but they're just going to get smashed. Because like when everyone's got access to this, it's like the only people that can level up are the ones that are, so it's becoming like an accelerant.
It's funny you say that because I did something similar for my emails. So I built a Python script in ChatGPT to analyze my emails, to pull out the ones that were inbound leads for sponsorships. Some of them are like PC. They're not really like,
not real.
They're
leads,
not warm. They're just people coming in.
Yeah.
So to pull in these people, then when I did the offer, separate those people and then do a sentiment analysis on it, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. And from there, then rate it. And then if it's good, segregate it.
Yeah.
So again, you have to understand like, what am I trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
Because I could do that technically in Excel. You can build a macro to do that in Excel, but fuck doing that. Yeah. So instead, I just spent 2 hours doing it and then I was able to get it done.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting observation, right? It's like, you need to understand what the problem is you're trying to solve. Same with the content, right? Yeah. If you're a great copywriter, you can look at it and say like, okay, yeah, this actually did help. This fixed one or two tiny things.
You need to know what good looks like. Like that's like copywriting is like, and sales, the problem with copywriting, sales combined as a bucket, right? Is if you look at physics, it requires like 3, 4, 5, 6 levels to get to the point where you can conceptually understand what's even going on. So if you watch a physics YouTube video, like you're just like, I'm lost. I can't do anything. Like, I can't anyway. But if I watch a 2-hour Hormozy sales video or copywriting video, I watch the whole thing and I'm like, I totally get all this. I understand it. It makes total sense. But there's a difference between conceptually understanding and application of it, and then the dozens and dozens and dozens, like probably thousands of micro skills that are actually around it. And so I see all of these people. Yeah, I see all these people like out there making these like AI content tools, and I look at their own content. I'm like, it's never going to work. It's like it's literally never going to work because you don't even know what good looks like, and you can't get the AI to analyze what good looks like. The only person that knows what good looks like is the true expert who's actually doing it. And so there's just a lot of people building all these things like that will just never be good. But then what will happen is like the true expert will come in and they'll just destroy everyone because like they actually know like what matters. And even like so many people, like they talk to me and they're like, oh, I'm building like this AI sales bot and all this kind of stuff, like around best practices and stuff. And like, I look at their sales conversation and their understanding of psychology and stuff like that. And like, if there's like one thing wrong in like the whole sales process, like you just can stuff the whole thing and there's like hundreds of things in it. And like, they can't spot the one thing. Like it's impossible. And so everyone's like, especially the AI content thing, people are building tools to do it. I'm just like, man, like the AI content isn't going to be the content that's going to be like winning anyway. It's going to be like the people who have the skill of writing can write stuff that AI can't write. Yeah. But I think we go back to mindset and stuff like that. People looking for like the easy way out.
Always.
It's like what's the Netflix way out? What's the Uber Eats way out kind of thing? It's like, but you just can't win. It's like too hard.
It's a good point to finish on, man. This is fucking great.
This is long.
This was like over 2 hours, man.
I didn't realize the time. It was fun.